Now I'm going to turn the Nearpod app off because I don't need it right now. And that's the great thing about this is you can turn that app on and off while you're in the middle of designing. And if it's off, it just gives you a bigger design space. But you can turn it on and turn it off. It doesn't matter. And as you can see, I have added a couple more content slides. I'm asking the question, where is Lake Erie? And you can see that I've chosen an image that actually highlights that. I actually found that image, just a Google search. Um, and then here, I want to highlight all of the Great Lakes. So this is just an image, and I just used my Google tools and I added a big circle around it and made the circle red and thickened it up a little bit. I put in a text box and it says, these are the 5 Great Lakes. The most recent glacier event in North America carved the basins of the Great Lakes. Glacier meltwater filled the basins of the Great Lakes. One design trick I want to show you is I've intentionally left some space down here in the bottom of my slide. Like I didn't make my text box ginormous so that it would go all the way to the bottom. I could have, but I didn't. And I did that on purpose because when I'm done creating this Nearpod, I'm going to show you how to overlay audio right onto this slide. And the audio will have like a little play button down here. And I don't want any of my design to be, any of my important part of my design to be behind that play button. So I kind of leave this little 1/2-inch space down here as a free space. So now my students can kind of see in relationship to Ohio here where the Great Lakes are. I'm just duplicating slides and doing things different on them. Now I'm specifically pointing out Lake Erie. I've got text again. Lake Erie is the most southern, most shallow, and warmest of all the Great Lakes. Lake Erie is the northern border of the state of Ohio. A couple things I want to point out here. I've left my space again, but on both of these 2 content slides, when I put, I'm going for like a 4th grade, 5th grade text. And when I do that and I have text that I've used, I'm going to copy that text. I always run my text through the Hemingway app. And that is just a web-based app. It's hemingwayapp.com. And when you get to the Hemingway app, this is the page that you get. It'll give you readability of your text. It'll tell you how many words are in your text. And it'll color code things that you need to pay attention to. Like, you don't want too many adverbs. You don't want to use the passive voice. And that is always my biggest problem. Phrase has a simpler alternative. So there's like these color codings. So how you use the app is I use this app all the time when I'm writing. Hemingway had a very specific style of writing, and it was very concise. And this is actually the kind of writing that people want to see in blog posts, very concise writing that's in good shape. So you just paste your text in. Now I've already Hemingwayed this particular piece of text. These are the 5 Great Lakes. And so like if you added more text to it, it would actually, it shouldn't be nonsense text, but when you put your text in, it'll let you analyze it. But if you take a look at what I've done here, I've got a readability of 4. It looks good. I've only used 38 words and I don't have any colors. So I always run my text through Hemingway just to look at it, make sure it looks good. And here's the good thing. When I go to close this tab in Chrome, Hemingway says, hey, you did some editing in here, and I'll edit it right in the Hemingway app. I'll make all my changes. You need to make sure that you highlight your text that you've changed and copy it so that you can paste it into wherever you're putting it. And the nice thing is Hemingway reminds you of that. So that's kind of cool. So I'll say, yes, I'm okay. And then I'll go back to my Google slide deck. And then I'll just paste my text back in. So this text looks great. And I'm showing the kids where Lake Erie is. And obviously, this is one of those announcement slides. I'm going to put a map in because I want my kids to mess around with a Google map. So let's look at a map. So let's put a Google map in. So as you can see, I have created a Google My Map and I've locked the position right here. You can see Ohio here. You can see Lake Erie here. I've dropped a pin here by our school, New Carlisle Elementary School, and I've dropped a pin right in the central basin of Lake Erie. Now, I'm going to put this map into my Nearpod by copying the URL up at the top. And I'm going to encourage my students to change the base map, And I don't know if I can do this while I'm recording, but yeah, there we go. My students can change the base map to satellite. They can use this plus and minus sign to drill down and specifically look around at their school. Look how far they are from the lake. They can go up to Lake Erie and they can look around. They can go street view. So this really helps to develop that sense of place. So now I'm going to add this into my Nearpod. So I'm going to go back to my Nearpod lesson. And this is super simple. I need to fire up that Nearpod add-on again. And all I'm going to do here is I'm going to add web content right there. And it's going to ask me for the URL. And I've set my share settings on that map so that they're viewable by anyone. I'll pause this while it's loading. There we go. Now I'm going to go ahead and paste in that URL. I could test that link to make sure that it takes me out to my map, but I'm sure that it does. And I'm going to click on save. Now you can see that my web content has been added to my Nearpod. It saved it on that satellite view, which is totally okay. And now my students have a map right inside their Nearpod that they're going to be able to interact with.